Hello. Welcome to Revelator Alf, a live show. It's a radio podcast thing. I'm here live in full effect. Pardon the sore throat here. Let me take a bit of libation just to wet the whistle. So listen, it's a weekend. I'm just going to come on for about, a little less than an hour here. I'm just going to see what's happening in the world, and just give you a bit of news going on. It's a full weekend of sport here, and so I'm really looking at what's going on in my kind of passion, what I really like, and that's the motorcycle world, but also what's going on in the sporting world, because it's a big weekend of sport as well. So there are lots of motorcycle sports are kind of building up for the season ahead. So there is some news coming out from World Superbikes, from MotoGP, that kind of thing. But the seasons haven't really started for most of the sports. In the next couple of weeks, they're going to start rolling out. In terms of general news, actually there hasn't been a lot of news the last couple of days. In terms of a few new bikes are coming out, but that's about it. Nothing of a grand plan, as it were. But there are some stories out there, so I'm going to sort of dig into that a little bit as well. But let's talk about this, shall we? Okay, if you're in the chat, hey, come and say hello. Let us know what you're up to. This is going out live on Twitch and also on YouTube. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the motorcycle world, but also sports in general. I've got the feed here for all the latest football results. It's big day today in the UK, FA Cup day, fourth round. If you're a football fan, it's a massive thing. Always love the FA Cup. Some interesting results coming out earlier on. Leeds beat Accrington Stanley 3-1, and Leicester beat... who did they beat? Can't remember who they bought. Anyway, Leicester won earlier on 1-0 as well. Walsall, that was it. Walsall, yeah. So and some other games coming on. I'm a big West Ham fan, so West Ham don't play until Monday, and a couple of games going on tomorrow. But let's just crack on. I've got diverted there. Let's just crack on with some motorcycle news. There was an interesting story. Let me just tap this in here. There was an interesting story from New Zealand. They had a motocross Grand Prix race all set for this weekend, but they had to postpone it. Would you believe? Or they had to cancel the whole event, which is a real shame because they had to spend loads of money on the event. But for it was basically for flooding. The whole site got completely flooded, heavy rain. Let me just see if I can bring up the story for you. It is there we go. Latest news, that's the one that we want. Close that, get rid of that. No, oh, here we go, heavy rain. Right, let me just go onto a website. Browser. No, I don't want that, do I? Is that it? Hold on. No, wrong one. Hold on. I will be there in a minute, guys. Which one is it? Here we go. This one. Crikey. Apologies. Right. So, I mean, look at this. Look at the state of this place. This is a whole track. Apparently they spent the whole week in converting this farm, with diggers and everything, just getting in there and completely, they spent loads of money. This is at the Manawatu Orion Motorcycle Club, and Yeah, it's basically on a farm. They spent loads of money on there. It's the New Zealand Motocross Grand Prix, completely flooded out. And obviously, New Zealand's having lots of floods at the moment as well. But you know, it's a shame there. It's a shame for those guys as well. Just make sure that's all coming through. Yeah, but so that was a real shame. There's another story here. Let me just come out of that so I can search it, so you're not seeing me fumble my way through the stories as well. There's where was it? Yeah, it was this one. Let's go motorcycle sports. It was this one here as well. Oh, no results found. Yeah, that was it. No. It was, Jay Leno, I hear, has crashed his motorcycle again. Had quite a few injuries. He just come off having been burned, quite severely burned as well, wasn't he? But there we go. It was basically World Superbikes have had. Here's an interesting one. India have got an ultraviolet electric motorcycle. You know, as I said before, actually India and China coming out with a lot of the stories that have been coming out in the last sort of couple of days actually have been about the Indian motorcycle manufacturers and the Chinese motorcycle manufacturers, and the kind of evolution that they're doing with high performance petrol engines, but also better performer or higher performing electric motorcycles as well. So that's something just to keep an eye on for the future as well. Just crikey, where are they? I had all these lined up before, and unfortunately, I had my computer crashed. So there's another one. Here's another one. CSE Motorcycle Markets, the RX1E. This is from Visor Down. Let me just show you here. Again, another electric motorcycle. This looks quite nice, actually. Little mini mini ADV electric one this time. But look. Very similar, very much this. You can tell exactly what they've done here. This is Chinese motorcycle manufacturer. They've gone after a zero motorcycle DSR. That's exactly what they've done, and they've tried to do it. I mean, it's got a range of 112 miles, 83 Newton meters. Top speed is 75 miles per hour. It takes 6 hours to completely recharge the battery. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? That's all right if you like that kind of thing. I mean, obviously the costs. I don't know what the cost is going to be. That kind of thing. Here's a good one. Here's the other one. That's I'll be going to the motorcycle show here in London next month in February. But they're just making a bit more information's coming out on the activities there, and they've got a lot more activities in the live show. A lot more live show demonstrations and that kind of thing as well. So it has kind of been lacking the last couple of few years at the London Motorcycle Show. But here, this is from the London Post. They're basically saying no, it's really going to be ramped up for this year in the London show. I think I'm quite looking forward to this show actually. The Motorcycle Live Show, the big one in November. I've kind of been, well, I wouldn't say disappointed with it, but I suppose I have been disappointed with it. But the one I suppose I've always really liked is the London Motorcycle Show. I've always liked that. Smaller, granted, but it's got a different vibe to it, so I always like that. And interestingly, what I've been saying for the last few years that Harley Davidson haven't been there. This year, apparently, allegedly, I can't confirm this, but it does say on their website, Harley Davidson will be there. They are going to be there. So let's just see what kind of show they have. I mean, all the main manufacturers are there. What it does lack at the London Motorcycle Show is a lot of the smaller motorcycle manufacturers, especially the British and European motorcycle manufacturers, the smaller ones. They're very rarely there, and they're not there again today. But this is let's have a look. Where is it? Here we go. It's Here you go. MotoGP. There's lots of to's and fro's in MotoGP. There's focus on the riders and sounds. We're just a few days away from first official tests. They're doing tests in MotoGP and also in World Superbikes right now, and or just about to. So here we go. We got Quartararo is for Yamaha, Ducati, Bagnaia is for Ducati, Aprilia, Espargaro, Honda, Marc Marquez, and Red Bull KTM, Jack Miller, Grassini. I'm just trying to think. Premac. Yeah, Honda, LCR Honda, Alex Rains, and Takagi Nakagami. Interesting. But it was, if I could just get the story for you guys of the, let's just go, yes, BK. It's, the news was be the testing, free highlights. Yeah, what was it? Come on, you bugger. It was the news. It was the testing that they've done. Here we go. Right. So if I can show you this story here. World Superbike. If you're into your sports, your motorcycle racing, watch this. Okay. So World Superbikes, they're doing their big test in Jerez right now. And basically this is from the worldsuperbike.com site, and they're saying their first glimpse of what to expect for the year ahead. And Ducati, new engine, new exhaust, winglet refinement. And I won't go into the full thing. Just go to your own, just go to your own site, and you'll see exactly. Hold on, wrong one. There we go. Hello. There we go. Wrong. So just go to the site here, and you'll see what I'm talking about there. Get rid of that. Right. Okay. The next one is BMW winglet revamps, new gearbox and switch brake supplier. Kawasaki major staffing changes, corner exit speed changes, suspension items. Yamaha new swing arm, links electronics. Honda big bosses from Japan. Okay, this is basically the latest gossip there. Engine specs and swing arms as well. So new developments as you would imagine in the World Superbike thing as well. Let us know any your anything you want to talk about. It's an open session here today. I'm just kind of brushing through all the latest stories. This is Saturday, not many stories coming out for motorcycles. In general, I'd say a few minor small bikes, electric bikes coming out for 2023, just been announced. Some Indian bikes, some Chinese bikes, but that's about it. Not a lot deal. Some motorcycle sports starting to ramp up with testing, MotoGP, World Superbikes, that kind of thing. A lot of the teams are starting to prep up for right now as well. Let's just get into the chat a little bit as well. Hey, Anthony D'Amico, what up, Rev? Hey, how you doing? All right. Metal in both legs. Hello. How are you, mate? All right. Jerry Powell. Hello, Alf. Sitting here was with a wee pastis Ricard. Bonjour à toi. Jerry, how are you? Veteran biker, morning revelator, veteran biker here in Arkansas, USA. Thank you very much, and lovely to have you here as well. Love the channel. I used to live in the UK for 7 years. Oh, bless you. Really good. And oh yeah, that's me. Veteran biker. Here's a question for you. What bike do you ride? Have we crossed paths before? Do we know each other? No, we don't know each other, but I'm sure I've seen that name before somewhere. I'm sure I have. You haven't got one of the Harley Davidson trikes, have you? The not the anniversary trikes. What am I on about? I forgot, because they're only sold in the US. They're not sold over here. The military, style commemorative bikes. Is that right? Is that you? I think I've seen a couple of your videos. Yeah, good job. Like that. I like what you do. If it's you. If it's not you, then, sorry. But anyway, listen, it's all good to have you here as well. But listen, my thoughts about the current state of play of the likes of Harley Davidson and stuff like that. I think in general, very disappointing. I just hope that they actually come out with some news, something different, something in the next couple of months. I hope, I don't expect them now to kind of, react to the reaction, as it were. I kind of expect them to say, right, okay, well, it is what it is. Let's just ride this wave out. Let's just see how it goes, and then in a month or so, we'll come out with more information. We'll see what happens there. But as I say, it's a big weekend of sport here in the UK. Not only for FA Cup, if you're into your football, if you're into whatever, lots of sports going on. Motorcycle sports, as I say, just ramping up. It's kind of the wrong time of the year. I know in other parts of the world, you got. In the US, for example, there's some still motorcycle sports still in the first couple of rounds, like AMA Supercross and stuff like that. I believe has just started as well. So there's quite a bit here. But the big sports here in the UK and all around Europe, really, well, all around the world, the biggest sport is football, or what we call football. Other people call soccer, but it's football. But here in the UK, or England right now, the FA Cup is the big news of the day. But that's not really what I want to talk about. There's a huge boxing match on tonight in London, in Wembley, for the Anthony Yarde, British fighter, light heavyweight this is. And it's one of those categories, light heavyweight, that never really gets the attention that I think it deserves, right? But he's coming off a good run of form. Won his last fight. And I just saw a recap of it this morning as well. And he seems so tough. He seems so strong, and if he catches you, I think he's going to be in trouble. The problem is he's coming up against a world champion in the WBC, WBO, and IBF. Okay, it's unified title. And this is they're calling it unified title, so you can try and take all three bouts from him, right? And it's this Artur Beterbiev, and he's check this out for a record. He's had 18 professional fights, 18 wins, and 18 by knockout. And I was watching his last fight. We went up against the American. I forgot what his name was now, but he just fourth round. He just completely. So it's going to be a huge thing. I mean, many people are predicting that this Beterbiev is gonna be an easy win. I'm not so sure. And sometimes I'm not concerned, but I always kind of wonder how accurate these thoughts are. But you got to go by his record and the way he's fought in his last fight. It was just unbelievable. But Anthony Yarde, the way he fights, he's a conventional stance, right? So he leads with his left, but he's very much that defensive guard, and it's very much it's very popular in boxing to do that Floyd Mayweather thing, where you drop your left hand down and you're kind of knocking back like this, so you're playing a defensive posture. But what you're doing, you're protecting your body here, and then just moving out, and then just protecting with your right hand here. But then he's kind of doing this kind of thing. The problem is with that, and if you get a chance to watch this fight later on, Beterbiev likes a big right over the shoulder, overhand shot like this, and I've got a feeling if he does that, he's going to get caught a lot. And if he gets caught a lot, I think he's going to be in trouble. So if he can address that, and also it really depends if he goes what kind of defensive strategy, also what kind of strategy he employs in the fight. Because for me, this is one of those fights where it's a difficult one, because if he goes for it, puts a lot of pressure on, then he's got to make it count. He can't really, he's got to go for first or second round knockout. And he's got to just blitz Beterbiev and see, if he folds under the pressure. But with that, he's got to be accurate. He's got to be there, and he's got to have the energy and the tank, as it were, to go for it. Whether he will or not, I don't know. But the longer it goes on, of what I've seen, I mean, again, I don't really know too much about these two fighters, but I've just been doing a bit of, recapping of their fighting styles as well. The other thing about this other fighter, Beterbiev, is that he works and he connects when he's inside, so they can be quite close quarters, in the clenching, and he can still find a way with uppercuts and around the top and body shots as well. Whereas Anthony Yarde wasn't doing that so much. It was more that he was leaning on his opponent as much, but wasn't getting a lot of striking in. So if he can keep him at bay, keep him at distance, and just pick him off, maybe. I don't think it's going to be a walkover for Beterbiev. For me, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would say Anthony Yarde is a good bet tonight. I think Anthony Yarde is a good bet for a good result. But there we go. So there's that. You know what I'm doing with my Saturday night. I'm definitely watching the boxing tonight. But I'm just watching the football right now, and. Luton 2, Grimsby 2, if you're from those parts of the world. So Harry Clifton just scored for them as well. Dundee 1-0 up against Queen's Park in Scotland. Yeah, all good there. Some other results coming through as well. And okay, good. So, Metlin both legs. Come on, you Irons. Come on, you Irons. Indeed. We've been having a bit of a tough time this season. And if you're a football fan, you'll know where we're at. We got a result last weekend against Everton. Everton then sacked their manager, Frank Lampard. And then, and guess what happened then? They went and hired Sean Dyche. I think he'd do a decent job down there, actually. Or up there, I should say. But there we go. It's an interesting one. Look, it's... motorcycle sports, or motorcycling in general, is obviously a big thing for me. And motorcycle sports is a big thing. But sports in general, and I'll kind of keep on saying this as well, that, it's one of those things I find in sports, because sports can get a very negative press sometimes, and sometimes rightly so. Sometimes it deserves it, but other times it doesn't. And I always like to think that sports, whilst it can divide, it can also heal wounds, and it can bring people together, and especially men. I think it can do that traditionally, but also women as well. I mean, just because you're a man, it doesn't mean that you appreciate sports more than women. Of course, I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying, traditionally, you would have men who would, who fathers and sons, let's say, brothers, whatever, uncles and nephews, they would bond more over sports, and I think it's still true to this day. And you can have some great friendships based around sporting activities as well. Not only if you participate, whatever sport it is, motorcycle sport, football, basketball, baseball, rounders as we like to call it over here in the UK, any of that sort of stuff. It's it's things that can help people, and it's not only the bonding that you can get it, and the common ground that you can get it, but it's just the stories within sports are just so appealing or so compelling. And whilst I've got a motorcycle channel and I talk about motorcycles, I've really moved on in my channel now to move away from motorcycle technicality, let's say, or motorcycle how-to videos and all that. And it's not because I don't want to do it. I still want to do that kind of stuff, and I still think there's a place for it. But it's the stories. It's the stories that I find really interesting. It's what I find interesting in reading, the compelling nature of, is this company going to do that? Is this person going to do this? So on and so forth. And it's exactly the same in sports. It's the story of the competition and the rivalry and that kind of thing. That's what I find most appealing in any of these things as well. But listen, if you're into any of these sports, so let us know. I mean, let us know in the comments or in the chat as well. What your favourite sports are. If you're into sports at all, maybe you're not into sports. Maybe you're just not into sports. It's fine. As a kid, I used to be really into music, but weirdly enough, as I've got older, less and less more into music, which is, for many people is an absolute crime. When I say I'm not into music, I'm not really into modern music. I still look at the 60s, 70s and 80s music, well, especially 70s music as my go-to, but anyway, listen. So anything you want to chat about, there's no problem. So I will be going off quite quickly. I'm in the middle of doing quite a bit of testing within these live shows as well. So I'm testing as I'm going along and just trying to improve a little bit as we're going along as well. So sometimes some shows are a lot slicker than others. Let's put it that way. That's all I'm going to say. They're a little bit slicker than others. But anyway, let's. I've got this thing. I keep on going to the actual computer. I could just do this instead. There we go. No. Why is that doing that? There we go. Brilliant. Right. Get that. So there we go. Brilliant. So nothing in the chat. Great. No problem. Let's just get over there as well. I'd say in terms of the motorcycle stories, not a lot going on, I've got to say. I've been checking all the feeds this morning. Associated Press, Reuters as the big ones. I've got to say about that, when people quote these news agencies like Associated Press, Reuters, they don't really cover motorcycle stories unless there's a big story. That Google News is half a decent one, but News Now, I like News Now quite a lot. That comes up with more specific motorcycle stories, and that's there's quite a bit coming out. There's Metzler, I'm just reading it here. Metzler, I've got a custom tour going all over Europe. Jivvy motorcycle bags and everything. They're giving their top 4 suggestions for 2023 motorcycle equipment, and these are 2 visor down stories, which is really interesting. Basically, they're going to say, we think that you should buy these 4 bags from Jivvy. Now, what would be a really interesting story if Jivvy themselves says, these 4 bags are what you should buy, and one is from so-and-so company, and one was from, but don't buy any of ours. Don't buy any of ours, just buy somebody else's. Of course they're going to tell you to buy their own products, aren't they? I mean, it's just a bit daft, really, isn't it? But there we go. So there's lots of stories about Jay Leno in the United States. He obviously had a crash. He's broken several bones. I think it was his collarbone, both kneecaps, or one kneecap. So he's really done himself in. But apparently, forever the man of wit, the comedy guy. He said, well, you can do more damage if you slipped in the bathtub, and there you go. Yeah, because people, unfortunately, perish within the bathtub, don't they? Knock themselves out and then they drown. And that's what it is. But again, not a lot of motorcycle stories here for this weekend. So it is a Saturday now, so it kind of closes. And January, for the most part, and into February, for the first couple of weeks, are always slow stories. The slow stories for motorcycling, and then as you get into tail end of February into March, as we know, the riding season starts to build up, and then you've got more motorcycle sports that have started in end of February, but into March and definitely into April. Then all of a sudden there's a big explosion of of interest, and more stories. The companies, the manufacturers get onto that, and they start, producing more information, maybe releasing more products, that kind of thing. I'm just looking at the football here again, and quite a nice. Some nice, interesting results coming through there again. Fulham in the Premier League are 1-1 against Sunderland. With Sunderland League One, right? No, Championship or the League One. But anyway, this is the FA Cup, and 1-1 there. But there we go. So, but look, there isn't a lot. There isn't a lot of motorcycle stories about right now. I mean, I wish I could say, hey, listen, there's loads going on. There isn't. I'm afraid there just isn't. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. But as I say, if you want to, I always say this, if you ever want to send in a message or contact me, you can go to the website, revelatoralf.com. I've really sort of taken away a lot of information there that I thought was just holding everything up. And I've made it more into a basic website again. But what I will be doing, I may be adding to that in the future as well. But if you want to contact me or send any information my way, or if you want to send any questions my way, or any topics for future live shows or future videos that you want to see answered, see addressed, that kind of thing, best thing to do, send me an email via the contact page there. It's it's quite easy to navigate. You go to revelatoralf.com and you'll see it all there. But that's always the best way. Revelatoralf.com. But as I say, there's quite a bit of I think there's going to be quite a bit of news coming forward in the next the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think. After 3 or 4 weeks, I think there's going to be quite a few things. I think the impression that I've got from the other motorcycle manufacturers that they've observed how Harley Davidson have changed their tactics in terms of marketing, in terms of drip feeding. And it does appear that many of them have started to adopt that. But I think what is the interesting thing is that many of the big, and I've said this before, that the big motorcycle manufacturers, the big ones, they're coming on board now with electric vehicles. And then you've got also India and China who are developing. And, when you talk about Harley Davidson, and my criticism, my appreciation for companies like Harley Davidson and Indian, but also my criticism is also how they kind of fail to act upon, the competition or the global market and everything. And listen, you'll always come across people who have this opinion that, sorry, let me just bring up this again. You'd always have these people who will basically say, it's only good. Harley Davidson, they're the only American brand, and I'm not buying any of this European or metric stuff or Chinese stuff. The problem is that, again, people don't understand, where products are made. Harley Davidson's, they've got factories in other parts of the world. European bikes are made in Thailand. You've got production and parts that are made by, so maybe the American market for the American bikes that are sold in America, they are assembled in the United States, but they're not all American bikes, and they're not all American company anymore. These are it's a multinational company and everything. Let's get into the chat here. Morris Casey, waiting for the F1 season. Starts 5 weeks. Yeah, I believe they've already started testing, haven't they? Have they done some testing already? Yeah, I'm a big interest. I think it's a really disappointing season for Lewis Hamilton as well. I'm not sure where that's going really with that. I haven't really caught up with F1 this year, I've got to say. But the technology there is just amazing. Meldelkel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I have not much about on bikes, as you say. Where do you fancy taking the channel? Well, I think this is where I'm kind of taking the channel. I've got to say, is into more live shows, more live discussions, and just talking about lots of general things. I do want to kind of have it as, this this kind of radio podcast thing. I do want to have. To make it like that, so that we can all come in, share ideas and share discussions. I much prefer to have this dialogue, direct dialogue with people, as opposed to just trying to answer all the comments that I get. The problem is I get lots of historical comments on videos as well. Lots of current comments on historical videos. So it's really hard to get a hold of or keep on top of it sometimes. That's why I like, this interaction here. But as I say, this is a slow Saturday. I'm just quickly coming on. I'm going to be switching off any moment now. I've got to be somewhere at 5, so I've only got a few minutes left. And I'll see how we go. I've just got a weekend of sport to look forward to. I've got to ride out on the bike tomorrow, so hopefully the weather will be fine. It's going to be a cold one, but hopefully it'll be fine. Anthony, I should say, from the United States, Anthony D'Amico. Harley Davidson says they will sell the bags that come with the Lowrider Ross T to put on other softails. Hopefully they fit on the Fat Bob. Okay, well, the bags that come on the Lowrider ST are essentially the bags that I've got on my bike on the Sport Glide. So all that is bracketry, So, it really depends whether, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a lot of things this year. The thing is, those bags, you can get those used, you can get those secondhand, you can get some that have been damaged, that kind of thing. They are sold out there, so you can pick them up, and a lot of it is just down to bracketry. A lot is just down to bracketry. You can get just the way the it depends which bike you've got, because it depends how the fender is held on. You may have to make an adapter plate for that to put those bags on, and then away you go. They'll just be held on there, and you may have to make another bracket near the swing arm or on the frame of the swing arm, so that you've got the down damper that stops the bag from wobbling around a bit. But yeah, they can definitely do it. And I say I wouldn't be surprised, if Harley Davidson do make those features a lot more available on other bikes as well. It'd be interesting to see how many lowrider S's, lowrider STs are sold this year, especially now because they are, excuse me, they are the 117 engine. Now they issue the breakout 117 engine as well. I mean, I'm interested, just like anybody else. I'm interested to see how many breakouts are they going to be sold this year. Will it become the #1 seller for 2023? Don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested to see how quickly they sell the anniversary bikes. Somebody made a comment the other day on one of my videos to say, well, anniversary bikes, you pay what, £5,000-10,000 more, or dollars more, whatever it is, but they don't hold their value. In fact, when you come to buy a used bike, let's say a Street Glide, for example, I don't know, a Street Glide, that's 5-10 years old, right? You buy this and you're trying to buy or sell an anniversary Street Glide of that same era, same model year. They're about the same price. There is no difference. You pay extra, but you lose so much more money because the market for those is a lot less. And it's just the same when you buy a Harley Davidson or any motorcycle. And well, you can say this for cars as well, I suppose. You spend all this extra. You spend all extra money on extras, on accessories, on upstaging and all that kind of stuff. And actually, that doesn't translate into after-sales value or into residual value in the year. You can get a bulk standard bike that is pretty much the same value as one with a stage 1, stage 2. Forget about stage 3 or stage 4 on Harley Davidsons, especially for resale value, because people are quite wary of buying those sorts of bikes. They think, well, you got a stage 3 or stage 4, you know, how reliable is this bike going to be? If you've got a bike that's completely standard, you think it hasn't been messed around with, so it's more of an appealing thing. That's why I wonder how those bikes, you know, do they retain their value more, or do they not? You know, so that's the interesting thing. Listen, I'm always going to be keeping an eye on the stories for you, and if you know, if there is more stories coming out, I'll bring them out to you, and I'll you know, I'm checking the feeds every day, or every few hours actually. So if there's anything coming out, I'll be sure to let you know. And hopefully, I am trying to improve this setup all the time, but also the quality that you're getting to see as well. Not only in terms of video, but audio. That is kind of a constant evolution. So I'm kind of monitoring how these are going, and also if I make video clips from these shows as well, then I want to see what the quality is there, and sometimes I'm okay with it, sometimes I'm not. So just for your information, behind the scenes as it were, that's something I'm really working hard right now, just to get consistency and better. And one of the problems is the cameras that I'm using are not really designed for this kind of thing, so I'm kind of making them work when, you know, so maybe I have to invest in another camera, or a more expensive camera. We'll see. But hopefully it's, you know, just going there. Maldekel, after the obligatory stage one, the best money's on suspension. I would completely agree. Larry S, absolutely love my stage 2 heritage. Larry S, hello, how are you? Yes, yeah, I think I've always said stage 2 is probably the sweet spot. The sweet spot, I would say. I think anything more, then I think you've really got to be using that, you know, if you really want to use it. I think stage 2, you know, for these kinds of bike, torque cam, yeah, you know, I'm with that. Anyway, guys, listen, it's been emotional. It's a Saturday afternoon or morning for you. It could be evening, wherever you are. As I say, it's just a case of I thought I'd bring you a bit of news. What's going on out there? Not a lot, I gotta say. Bit of sports news. I'm getting ready for the big boxing match tonight. Wherever you are in the world, you can go. I'm sure you could stream it and watch it. It's Artur Beterbiev or whatever, against Anthony Yarde, light heavyweight world championship fight tonight. If you're interested in the boxing, if you're not, you're not. It is what it is. But listen, I'll be back again, I'm sure. I'll be back again on another live show. Lots of videos coming out on the channel. There's one coming out at 5 o'clock today. Lots every day for the next few days. Then it's going to open up a little bit. But I say, lots more live shows coming. Lots more live shows coming. Anthony, will the 117 eventually be standard like the 114 is now? Well, I was hoping that the 117 was going to be, not necessarily that I believe it's a better bike or it's a better, but I thought it should have been more widely available, especially in the tour range. I thought the 117 should have been more available, and maybe, you know, the CVO should have got a bump in an engine as well. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Right, that's a discussion for another day. 117 or 114, you know it's coming. Right, catch you again. It's been emotional. Ta-da.